So I'm Jimmy Kuhn. I'm the chairman of the advisory board for Schack. And I can't even tell you how long I've been the chairman, but it's shorter than the president of Equatorial Guinea, who's the record for being the president for a long time. So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't start by just recognizing that in the last couple of days we lost two great Americans, Charlie Munger at 99 and Henry Kissinger yesterday at 100. And who wouldn't want the 1973 version of Kissinger today, who was able to deal with Beijing, Soviet Union, Middle East? And Charlie Munger said something in his last interview 2 weeks ago that I thought was interesting, besides the fact that his investment philosophy is yes, no, or I don't understand, is you need a lot of luck to be able to have the returns that he had over a long period of time. And I think the real estate industry is due for a little luck. We've been through a pandemic, we've been through the high interest rates, and we need some luck. We need Saudi Arabia not to cut oil too much. We need the wage growth to come down. We need the supply imbalance in the treasuries to sort of modify. And we need some political luck without taking sides. Certainly, some of the stupidest decisions in New York City have been made over the last 5 years, impacting the residential market, the conversion market, et cetera. Probably not allowed to say that, but I said it. But I do think the Fed lowered rates yesterday because of us. They wanted us to have a good conference. So I want to thank Jessica Watson, who does so much for this conference, and we couldn't do it without her. So thank you, Jessica. And now I will introduce my friend, who's the dean of the Schack School. Marc came from Syracuse, where I've been a trustee for 15 years, and we were so lucky to get him. He worked for the fabulous Marc Robbins, who was the dean of the architecture school. And Marc has done a fabulous job in the short time he's here. And so I'm going to get off the stage, and I'll be back in about an hour to interview the wonderful and famous jar mechanic. So Marc, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here side by side with Advisory Board Chair Jimmy Kuhn, a longtime ally and supporter as well. And it's hard to imagine so many opportunities and challenges. Flight from the cities to the suburbs, drop in municipal revenues, fear of crime, US entanglements abroad. And those are the words from last year that I used at this conference. So just to say that it is always going to be crazier than it was, which is one of the reasons why it's so important to have these conferences. So since our last capital markets conference, and it seems like it's been years, but ChatGPT is just 1 year old. After this conference was done, that was released. We've experienced old school bank runs in the last year, resulting in the collapse of multiple regional banks. We've seen the WeWork bankruptcy, basically the end of short-term rentals in New York City with Airbnb. And the Fed has raised rates 6 times since the last time we met. We also don't have a replacement for 421A. So while inflation is moderating, debt maturities are here. The price discovery we talked about last year is here as well. And we'll probably talk about that today. But we also saw 4.9% GDP growth in the last quarter, and tourism has returned to pre-pandemic levels. So there's really a balance of all of these things. 56 years ago, Larry Silverstein helped launch what is now Schack, and the first capital markets conference. And when I reflect on that, the world was also in flux then. The Vietnam War, Penn Station demolished, Madison Square Garden set to open. And for reference, the Fed fund rate was about what it is today in a very different context. And so I would have really loved to be a fly on the wall 56 years ago to see what those conversations were. But we're lucky to also have Larry Silverstein today to reflect on that and to also think about the future, which has always been visionary in that. And through his foresight, we're here today, and I definitely thank him for that. Schack, through his efforts and the efforts of the advisory board, is now over 100 faculty, hundreds of students, multiple degrees and certificates. In this room today, we have students, advisory board members, faculty members, professionals, And we're the home for education and collaboration, events like this and others. And I'm honored to be the Associate Dean here. I also understand that we're an institute of real estate, but what you'll see today are speakers from every part of the industry. And so this will include government officials, this will include economists, this will include industry people, housing and technology. I really want to thank Rob Lumenthal, my chair for this conference. He has been really a leader and instigator and pushing us to think bigger and bolder about panels and speakers and topics. Also, co-chairs Marty Berger, Marcela Fajulo, Todd Gomez, Assem Hamid, Jimmy Kuhn, Tom Rugg, Lisa Pendergast. They're all going above and beyond in pulling this day together. Over the 56 years of this conference, we've had the kind of interweaving interests of financing sources, policy, and so that's why it's so important for us today to talk about the debt markets, the equity markets, the state of housing affordability, liquidity, and other topics. We have an exciting day ahead of us. The all-important topic of global capital markets is where we start. The world is more interconnected than ever, so the US still manages and raises the money that makes development happen. You will see the professionals at the forefront of that today. I'm very excited to have the one-on-one discussion with Kathleen McCarthy, Global Co-Head of Real Estate at Blackstone later today, Jimmy's talk with John Mechanic, and of course the Golden Apple panel, which is in its 24th year, and the governor, just right after lunch. It's these moments that are important, but also remember that this is also a moment for networking and mingling and making those new connections. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dino Paparelli, Global Head of Real Estate at Deutsche Bank, and the first panel. Thank you.